Imagine a man making spaghetti. It is 1984 in a quiet suburb of Tokyo. The phone rings. A strange woman is on the line, asking for 10 minutes of his time. He tells her the spaghetti is boiling and he has to go. It seems like the most normal, boring moment you could possibly think of. But in that exact second, the man's ordinary life is completely over. His cat goes missing, his wife goes to work and never comes back. This is the start of the Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. It is one of the most famous Japanese novels of the late 20th century. Our main character, Toru Okada, does not call the police. He does not run around the city shouting his wife's name. Instead, he finds an empty dry well in a ruined house near his home. He climbs down a rope to the bottom, sits in total darkness, and just waits. Why would a grown man facing the collapse of his entire life choose to sit at the bottom of the dark hole in the ground? What is he actually looking for? Today, we are going to talk about the strange, quiet world of the wind-up bird. We will look at what happens when ordinary life breaks down. And most importantly, we will answer the question, what exactly does the dry well mean? Because that well is not just a hole in the dirt, it is a door. To understand the well, you have to understand the world Toru Okada is hiding from. The story is set in Japan in 1984. Think about what Japan looked like at that time. It was the beginning of the famous bubble economy. The country was rich, peaceful, and highly organized. Everyone was working hard, making money, buying televisions and cars. From the outside, it looked like a perfect, smooth machine. But Murakami saw something else. He saw society that had lost its soul. In this world, everything is surface. People talk to each other, but they do not really connect. Toru Okada's wife, Kumiko, is a perfect example. She has a good job in publishing. They had a quiet marriage. But under that quiet surface, she is carrying a deep, heavy darkness. She's controlled by her brother, Noboru Ataya. Noboru is a famous politician and a media star. He smiles on television, he wears nice suits, but he's completely empty inside. He represents the modern, shiny, hollow world. He takes power by taking over people's minds. Murakami is showing us a dangerous truth. When a society only cares about the future, about money and progress, it forgets its past. And the past in Japan is not just a ghost story. It is built on real blood. While Toru is living his boring life in 1984, the novel forces him and us to look back at the summer of 1939. This is where the true weight of the story comes in. We are taken to a real historical event, the Norman Hand Incident, also known as the Battle of Khalkhin-Gol. It was a brutal, forgotten border war between Japan and the Soviet Union, fought in the deep deserts of Mongolia. The Japanese army sent thousands of young men into the pointless meat grinder. It was a disaster. The military leaders lied about the death toll and buried the truth. Why does Murakami put a bloody, forgotten war in the middle of the story about a missing cat and a broken marriage? Because the violence of the past did not disappear. It just went underground. The shiny, peaceful Japan of 1984 is built on top of that very violence. The people walking the streets of Tokyo are carrying the trauma of history, even if they do not know it. The modern world is like a thin layer of ice. If you step too hard, it breaks, and you fall into freezing water below. Toru Okada's marriage broke the ice, and the only way he can fix it is to go down into the dark. This brings us to the core of the story, and the most powerful image in the book, the dry well. When Toru's wife leaves him, he is confused and lost. he meets a series of strange, broken people, a teenage girl who talks about death, a woman who can only experience the world through the pain of others, and an old soldier, Lieutenant Mamiya, who tells Toru a terrifying story about his time in the war in 1939. During the war, Mamiya was captured by enemy soldiers. They threw him into the dry well in the middle of the Mongolian desert. They left him there to die in the dark. While he was trapped at the bottom, he had to listen as his friend was skinned alive on the surface. But then something strange happened to Mamiya. For a few seconds every day, the sun was high enough to shine directly down into the well. In that brief flash of blinding light, Mamiya felt a deep, strange sense of peace. He felt connected to the center of the universe. He survived the war, but his soul died in that well. He returned to Japan as an empty shell. When Toru hears his story, he realizes what he has to do. He finds his own dry well in the neighborhood. He climbs down the ladder, pulls the rope away, and sits in the absolute dark. So, what does the well mean? First, on the basic level, the well is a place of sensory deprivation. The modern world is loud. It is full of ringing phones, television screens, and people telling you what to do. Toru realized that he never actually knew his wife. He only knew the surface of her. To find the truth, he has to cut out all the noise. He goes into the well to listen to his own mind. When you're sitting in complete darkness and absolute silence, the only thing you can hear is the sound of your own heart. Second, the well is a physical connection to history. By sitting in the dry well in Tokyo, Toru is copying the trauma of Lieutenant Mamiya in Mongolia. The well acts as a tunnel through time. It connects the boring, safe present with the brutal, violent past. Toru begins to understand that the evil in his wife's brother, the politician, is the exact same evil that causes senseless death in the war. It is an evil that uses human beings as tools. To fight this evil, Toru cannot stay in the bright, sunny world. He has to go to the root of the sickness. Finally, and most importantly, the well is a magic doorway to the subconscious mind. As Toru sits in the dark for days, the walls of reality begin to melt. The well stops being just a hole in the dirt. He finds a secret door in the wall of the well. He steps through it and enters a strange, dark hotel. This hotel does not exist in the real world. It is a shared dream space. It is the deep underground level of the human mind where all our fears, memories, and desires are connected. This is where his wife Kimiko is trapped. She is not physically locked in the room somewhere in Tokyo. Her mind is locked away in this dark, underground world, controlled by the evil influence of her brother. To save her, Toru cannot just hire a lawyer or call the police. He has to fight a spiritual war. He has to stay at the bottom of the well, face his deepest fears, and walk through the dark corners of the human mind. The well is the only way down. In a world where everyone else is floating on the surface, pretending everything is fine, going down the well is an act of extreme courage. Toru Okada stops being a boring, passive man making spaghetti. He becomes a warrior. He does not use a gun. He uses his patience, his focus, and his willingness to face the absolute darkness. Most of us spend our lives trying very hard to stay on the surface. We build comfortable routines. We make coffee. We go to work. We check our phones. We do everything we can to avoid looking down. But the Wind-Up Bird Chronicle asks us a hard question. What happens when the surface breaks? What happens when the person you love becomes a stranger? Or when you realize your quiet life is built on a lie? You cannot fix the deep cracks in your life by staying in the light. Sometimes the only way to find what you have lost is to stop running. Sometimes you have to find your own dry well. You have to climb down into the silence, sit in the dark, and wait for the truth to show itself. It is a terrifying place to be, but as Haruki Murakami shows us, the darkness at the bottom of the well is not just an empty end. If you are brave enough to sit there long enough, it might just be a door.